Hello, I am here to present my funding proposal for emerging technologies. I have chosen to propose including electronic crafting in our classrooms at Chugiak High School. Um, I chose electronic crafting for a number of reasons. One, we're already a BYOD school, which would have been my proposal because it's the most important to me, but we already have that. Um, and and secondly, I chose electronic crafting because it is the one thing I learned about in this course that was really surprising to me and that I thought was really outside of my box and that I thought could be really valuable and fun for the kids. Um, I looked at a number of different documents from ASD. I looked at Chugiak's mission statement and vision statement. Both really seem to focus on nurturing learners to be college and career ready, focusing on critical thinking and communication. And then they also seem to both focus on like our students' aesthetic and creative talents. And so I thought crafting and technology really combined all of those things. I also looked at ASD's um, I looked at ASD's, what's it called? Destination 2020, which has 6 goals: proficiency in reading, writing, and math, increasing the graduation rate, increased attendance, increased parent satisfaction, um, increase in staff and student safety, and operational efficiency. And I feel like electronic crafting really helps with the proficiency in language arts and math, and hopefully increased parent satisfaction, attendance, and graduation rate because students will be motivated and engaged. Um, let's see. I created a lesson that focuses around the essential question: how does your personal identity affect the way you learn in school? It will be a 2 to 3 day portion of a 4 week unit. In this unit, it's at the beginning or toward the beginning of the unit. In this unit, students will have written a poem called an "I am from" poem, in which they identify objects and I'll go down here for you guys. In which they identify objects, people, emotions, activities, etc., that they feel define them or make up them as an individual. And then when they're done with that poem, they're going to bring in items that represent things from the poem. So it could be an actual object that they name, or it could be an item that represents a family member or an emotion or an interest. So they're going to bring in a handful of those items, and then with a group, and I will create the groups. They'll be heterogeneous based on learning style and readiness level. They will compare all the items that they brought in and somehow synthesize them into, like, basically choosing where the commonalities are, what they want to include, so that they end up creating an artifact that not only represents each individual in the group, but represents more of a cohesive group identity. And the electronic portion of that, in their artifact, they need to use either e-textiles or circuit stickers or something in order to use light and electricity in a meaningful way. So it has to be illuminating something, hopefully some sort of answer to the essential question. Let's see. Here's the essential question. The understanding: students will understand that their personal expression and communication style impacts the way they learn and communicate with others. So I feel that that directly relates to Chugiak's mission statement. By the end of it, students will be skilled at metacognitive thinking about their own learning process. They'll be skilled at communication with peers and collaboration on a complex task, self-expression through concise audience-focused creation, and analyzing various forms of autobiography to determine how they're different. So basically, this is actually a rating standard. They're synthesizing multiple sources. let's see. Another reason I chose to use electronic crafting is because in a perusal of ASD's technology plan, um, basically one thing that kept repeating is that they don't have any money. And I chose electronic crafting because I feel that it can be affordable. So basically the materials, the arts and crafts materials, pens, paper, fabric, whatever, that can be done in a drive. That can be stuff that students bring in. And then really the school just needs to provide the stickers or the e-textiles. I list some here. The Chibitronics STEM starter kit is $30. A circuit sticker classroom pack is $110. There's all sorts of stuff in between. Looking at SparkFun Electronics for LilyPad kits, it's about $80 for a design kit, $200 for an e-textile basics lab pack, and then everything in between. I know that then there's also the thing about electronic crafting is that the students then take their crafts home with them. So the e-textiles and the stickers, the Arduinos need to be replaced. And so since ASD says there is currently no line item in operating budget for equipment refresh and careful scrutiny of cost-benefit ratio of technology will occur, I think the best way to incorporate electronic crafting is to just fund it ourselves. I figure it will cost less than $500 per school year for the entire school. And I think just from my history of fundraising, that could be raised in one bake sale. And so I propose that we do a bake sale in the spring in order to buy new materials for the fall. And then, like I said, the other materials could be found in some sort of like craft community drive. I do think that electronic crafting is learner-centered. It's hands-on. The project, the unit that I propose is very much learner-centered, as it's helping students engage in discussion of their own identity and their own learning style. But this is very much learner-centered. It would be, let's see, let me go back to my appendix. It would be evaluated in two ways: an observational checklist during group work. So basically, are they carefully discussing and selecting artifacts? Are they explaining to each other why they're important? Are they planning together? Are disagreements respectful? Is everyone in the group contributing? Is every group engaging in the hands-on portion? And is every member of the group focused? And is the group self-directed? The project itself is graded on 5 different sections. One, that the items included are meaningful and representative. 2, that the items selected represent each group member and were chosen through that deep, insightful discussion of their significance and comparison of differences and commonalities. Is the use of electronics meaningful? Can the group explain why their use of electronics ties into the overall meaning and message of the artifact? The students will have to write a reflection at the end, and that will be their place to engage in metacognitive thinking in response to the essential question, so they can identify what they learned through the group communication process. And basically what was difficult, what was easy, what contributed to that. And then the presentation. At the end, each group presents to the whole class. Each group member needs to participate in that presentation. Significance of the artifact and what it represents needs to be clear. And all questions from classmates are clearly answered. So that is my project, incorporating electronic crafting into the English classroom or any classroom. Thank you for watching.